Okay, so out of exercise 12.1, is there any issues with the homework? Okay. Okay, so number 9. Any other problems with... Sorry? So it's only number 9. Okay, did you have to do 12.2 as well?
No.
So why did you tell me, why did I give you so little homework? Huh? You don't know. Sorry? Oh yes. I took a day off. Nobody said thank you to me. But it's a pleasure. Okay, so it's number 9. Okay. So this is exercise 12.1, and this on page 266. Okay. So in number 9 we are told that 1,000 rand is deposited into a savings account, and 2 years later 2,000 rand is added to the savings account. Okay. The interest is 11.5% compounded annually. Calculate the amount of money accumulated in the account at the end of 5 years. Okay? So what we have here is a timeline situation. Okay? Where we have a certain amount of money and the value doesn't stay constant. Or the investment doesn't lay for a straight 5-year period. Something else happens to that investment. Okay, later on, and I think it's like in 12.5 or 6, there around 7, we actually start drawing timelines. Okay, but this calculation is fairly simple. Okay, there's just one variation on this line. Okay, so what happens is 1,000 rand is deposited into a savings account, and 2 years later, so in other words, 1,000 rand is first going to lay in the account for 2 years. Can you see that, people? So I'm going to consider the 1,000 rand for 2 years. So I put here, consider the 1,000 rand for 2 years. So which formula do I use? Compound interest. How do I know that? We are given 11.5% per annum compounded annually. So that's how I'm going to use compound formula. So A is equal to P into 1 plus I to the exponent n. Okay? So what's your P value? 1,000 rand into 1 plus I 0,115. Well, isn't it? Isn't it what? 100? Oh, 11.5 over 100. Is that what you want to say? Now you put on a calculator. 11.5 divided by 100 and tell me what did you get? Exactly that. So from now onwards, you'll always see me convert that percentage to its, what's his name? It's R value over 100 to get the I value out. Okay? Because that is a fairly simple calculation to do in your head anyway. Not so? So instead of punching it in the calculator as 11.5 over 100 all the time, we just simply say 0,115. Okay? For how many years is this, people? 2 years. So let's put that in the calculator. It'll be 1,000. Open brackets. 1 plus 0,115 to the exponent 2. That gives me 1,243 rand. 1,243 rand and 23 cents. You all agree with that? So what happens is after 2 years, this is what they have in the account. Make sense? So the day the person added the 2,000 rand now, what's going to happen now? That initial principal or the initial invested amount now, which is 1,000 rand, grew to 1,243 rand and 23 cents. Then what happens? We're adding a further 2,000 rand to that value. Does it make sense? So now we're going to consider that amount plus the 2,000 rand for how many years now? For the remaining 3 years. That's what's going to happen now. You guys understand? So now, again, which formula do we use? Still compound formula. Not so. However, the principal amount changes now. To what? 1,243 rand and 23 cents plus 2,000 rand. Does it make sense? So that gives me a P value, a principal value of 3,243 rand and 23 cents. So that's your principal at the beginning of the third year. You see me using that answer button. Why do I use the answer button? So that's the last answer calculated on the calculator. Okay. So what happens now? Again, as we said, that formula is going to be reused again. So your P value is now 3,243 rand and 23 cents into what? 1 plus 0,115 to the exponent 3. Punch that in a calculator. Here's answer. Again, last answer calculated in the calculator. Into 1 plus 0,115 to the exponent 3. To you 4,495 rand, 4,495 rand and 75 cents. Make sense? Just to give you an idea how it would look on the timeline. And I'm sure it will make more sense. The question at this point, you were not exposed to timelines yet. Okay? We didn't do timelines last year in grade 9. So if we have to draw a timeline for this scenario, we start at T0. Not so your initial time is T0. You deposit it, we indicate the deposit with a plus, 1,000 rand. 2 years later, what happens? They add another 2,000 rand. Can you see that? They want to know how much is in the account at the end of 5 years. So what happens is, the interest rate is standard at 11.5% per annum compounded yearly. Okay? I think in grade 11 and 12, in grade 11 you do different compounded monthly and daily and so on. For now, it's only compounded yearly. Okay, so for now, you can leave this out. Wherever you write it is no problem, that's your rate. So what we look at, we say, okay, what happens from there to there? We have to first consider 1,000 rand for 2 years. So this is where the first calculation comes in. So what happens at the end of 2 years? I have, at that point, 1,243 rand 23 cents. But what happens now? I add 2,000 rand, which makes it 3,243 rand 23 cents for the remaining 3 years. You see, it looks much easier doing it graphically or on your number line. It will make more sense. But later on, when we have different scenarios and interest rate changing, because if you look at it, your interest rate at the bank or in your financial institution doesn't remain the same. You guys understand? It changes. So with a change in interest rate, your calculation has to be affected as well. You need to change the calculation as well. Not so. So as time goes on, we will look at more of timelines. But as I said, this question was fairly simple. There's only one variation. So the timeline is not necessary at this point yet. Okay. But it will make your life a bit easier there. Okay. We got any other problems with homework? Sorry? Okay, so today we're looking at calculating interest rates. Okay. That's your heading, calculating interest rates. We're looking at the example, and this is on page 267. Example on page 267. Okay. You guys ready? Huh? So we are told in example 1 on page 267, 20,000 Rand is invested in shares on the stock market. So what is going to be the 20,000? What does that 20,000 represent? Your principal amount, your initial value. That's so, which is your P value. So your P value is going to be 20,000 Rand. After 8 years, so what does that? What would that represent? The 8 years, number of years, which is what? Your in value. Not so. After 8 years, the shares are sold for 52,000. What does that value give you? Your amount, your A value. Not so. The question says in number 1, or A, sorry, calculate the compound interest rate that would provide the same return. The compound interest rate. So what are we actually calculating here? The I value, which will be your rate at the end. Not so. So if it says compound interest, which formula do we use? Compound formula. What's the compound formula? A is equal to P into 1 plus I, the exponent n. Do I have my I value? Yes. Which is 52,000. Do we have a P value? Yes. Which is 20,000. We're calculating I, and we have n, which is 8. So do the substitution and try and solve for your rate quickly. Right, so what's my A value? 52,000 equals P, 20,000 into 1 plus I, which is what we're calculating, to the exponent, 8. So what do I do first? Divided by 20,000. Okay, so what happens is that cancels. Okay, so what do we have? 1 plus I to the exponent 8. That cancels. It's going to give you 2,6 straight. Okay. Or it could have been 26 over 10, which is 13 over 2. No? No, 13 over 5. 13 over 5. There isn't 13 over 5? Is it?
Yes, it is.
What do I do now? The 8th root. You get rid of the 8. Exponent 8. I take the 8th root both sides. Let's put it in the calculator. So So it's shift 8. No. Yeah, first shift. That's already there. There's an 8. And you guys are going to press answer, but my answer is different to the last calculation made here. So it's going to give you 1 comma 126. 8, and the number carries on. Okay. So there's going to be 1 plus I equals 1 comma 126, and the number carries on. You can put 1, 2, 3, whatever. 1 comma 1, 3. It's fine. But the reason why I'm keeping it like that is because I'm going to round off at the end. Okay. So your I value, what do I do now? I subtract 1 from that value. Minus 1 gives me 0 comma 126, and the number carries on. But what was the question? The question says calculate the compound interest rate. They didn't ask your I value. Remember, your rate would be your I value over 100. No, other way around. Your I value is normally your rate of 100, not so? But remember, now I have the I value, but I want the rate. So for the rate, it's going to be 100 I, or I times 100. You guys understand? So what do I do here? I must multiply this by 100. So you put it in your calculator. Answer multiplied by 100 gives us 12.69%. And normally they ask you to work the 2 decimal places. And these are the 2. Otherwise, if they specify 1, you just round it off to 1 decimal place. Okay. Any confusion, people? Alright. Let's look at B. In B, they ask you to calculate the simple interest rate that will provide the same return. So which formula do I use here now? The simple interest formula, which is A equals P into 1 plus I times N. I know what my A value is, 52,000. My P value, 20,000. 1 plus I is what we're calculating here. And your N is going to be? Your N is going to be? 8. You all understand what to do? So you do the substitution and you solve for I for me. Okay? I'll give you a few minutes to sort that out. 2-3 minutes. Alright. So let's cover this calculation quickly. We are told A is 52,000 into equals 20,000 into 1 plus I, which is I times 8. So I divide by 20,000 first. So I get 2.6 equals 1 plus 8I. So minus 1. So 1,6 equal to 8I. So I is going to be 0,2. You multiply that by 100. 20%. Was there any confusion there? No. Okay. Sorry. Anybody make a mistake with regards to these to B? You all got it right. Okay. So for homework, I would like you to do exercise 12.2. It's only like 4 questions, Michael. So now we're going to look at loan repayments. Okay? So we are told that money borrowed from a bank or a financial institution in the form of a loan must be repaid over a agreed period of time. So if you take out a loan to buy a house, or a bond to buy a loan to buy a house, also known as a bond, the bond period is normally 20 years. So if you agree to pay the bond over 20 years, then that is according to your contract. Okay, we always try and stick within the contract. Of course, if you don't stick within the contract, what's going to happen? They're going to penalize you. You're going to pay more on your bond. Okay? So for the stipulated amount of time, that's agreed time. So you must cover it in that time. Also, if you pay your bond before 20 years, if you agree on 20 years, and you pay your bond and cover your bond before that, they also penalize you. Why? Because they're not gaining the maximum interest out of you. Interest haram, no? You know? Yeah, Muslim people. But because if you're going to pay a loan off in a shorter period of time, then the bank is actually losing out. Not so? So they penalize you a certain percentage. It's not as much as the interest you will be paying. Definitely not. But they still penalize you for paying sooner than on time. You guys understand? Right. There are two types of loan repayments. We are told that these loans on your house is on the reducing balance method. Remember, we spoke about your simple interest, your investments, not your investments, your hire purchase. Did we do a calculation on hire purchase? Where you buy your washing machine and stuff like that. Did we speak about that? You did it last year. No? You did financial maths last year. Then you got the scenario where you buy a washing machine and you must calculate your monthly installments. Not so? That is your simple interest calculation. Now when you buy a house or a car, they do it on what you call reducing balance method or on compound interest. Okay? So, let's look at an example where we can do a calculation on it and just explain where things just fit in at the different points. Okay? What page is that on? 268. Okay. So we are told that Andy buys a television set at a DVD player for 14,800 rand. Something wrong with Andy, no? A lot of money. Andy must not be a teacher probably, no? He must be a doctor or something. Teacher is not going to spend so much money on a TV. So he pays 2,220 rand in cash, and the balance is paid through a hire purchase loan agreement with an interest rate of 16%. So here we are told, and I just told you earlier on, if they're talking about hire purchase, what interest is hire purchase? What do we consider hire purchase to be? Simple interest. If either they say hire purchase is simple. They don't have to tell you it's 16% per annum simple interest. By just saying it's hire purchase, it's simple interest. Unless they specify it is compound interest. Okay? You all okay with that? People, this 2,220 rand, that is cash, also known as what? As a deposit. Not so. Now by paying that 2,220 rand in cash or as a deposit, we don't owe the seller or the shop or whatever, we don't owe them 14,800 any longer. Can you see that? Our P value, the initial loan amount, changes. Not so? If however we didn't pay the 2,220 rand, then of course we owe 14,800. You understand? So the first question says, calculate Andy's monthly repayment. The loan is repaid over a 3-year period. So N is going to be, of course, 3 years. That's your N value. That is your rate, your I value. And we need to calculate my P value. Not so? So how do we calculate P, your P value? The P value is going to be 14,800 minus 2,220 Rand. Okay, so let's put that in the calculator. So it's 14,800 minus 2,220 gives us 12,580 Rand. 12,580. You all agree with that? So can we calculate his monthly repayments at this point? No. We must first add the interest to this amount. Not so? And how are we going to calculate the interest? Which formula are we going to use? Simple interest formula, which is A is equal to P into 1 plus I times N. Again, why am I using the simple interest formula? Higher purchase. So you do that calculation for me and then you work out the monthly installment. Okay? Okay, so coming back to this here, so A is equal to P, which is 12,580 Rand into 1 plus. What's your I value? 16%. So 0.16 times 3 years. Let's put that in the calculator. So you please answer. Remember, answer is the last answer calculated in the calculator. Answer into 1 plus 0.16 times 3 gives us 18,618 Rand and 40 cents. You all agree with that? That is 18,618 Rand and 40 cents. But they haven't answered the question. No. They want to know the monthly installment. How do you calculate monthly installment? It's A over N times 12. Okay, or I can just say 18,618 Rand and 40 cents. How many months are there in 3 years? 36. So we say answer divided by 36 gives us an answer of 517 Rand and 18 cents. Any confusion there, people? 5171. Okay. So let's look at the B part of the question. B says, calculate the total amount of money paid over 3 years. The total amount of money paid over the 3 year period. Sorry? Total. You sure that's the total? I don't think it is. What are we shorting? You must add 2,202. So didn't I make that payment on it? Remember the question says calculate the total amount. The total amount is the whole amount, or the accumulated amount that was paid into the financial institution. Or to the shop, whatever. Does it make sense, people, why am I adding it? Okay, so it's plus 220,000, 2,220 Rand. Not O, it's a 20. What does that give us? 20,830 38 comma 40 cents. Okay. Any confusion here, people? Alright. Let's look at question C. Calculate how much extra Andy paid. That extra, another word for this extra could have been what? How much interest did Andy pay? That extra is also your interest amount. Not so? So how are you going to calculate the extra or the interest value? The interest amount? The total amount we paid? Not so? The total? Minus what? 14,000. What is that? Your cash price. Not so? The cash price. In other words, it's going to be 20,838 rand and 40 cents minus. What is the cash price? 14,800. Put this in the calculator. 20,838 rand and 40 cents minus 14,800 gives us 6,000. 6038.4. Is that correct? Is that correct? 6038, yes. So you see how much extra this person is paying for this item, for these items. Okay. How 6,000 rand extra? Okay. But why do you think somebody would pay extra? They're broke. Sorry? They don't have. Yes? The capital, that cash price. They don't have that amount. Okay. So they rather take it on terms and pay it off. But remember now, say you have been paying this item for 30 months, for 34 months. Okay? And, no, 34. You're paying it for 34 months. And for the 35th month, you can't pay it. Oh. Did I take it back? No? And they take it back and you lose out on all your money you paid. Oh. Yes? No. You don't get your money. Who's going to give your money back? You lose after all that, yes, pain. You can't pay in your final payment, so they take it back. No? Sorry? You want to save up?
Yeah, it's like in a year's time.
Sorry?
In the amount of time that you have to pay all that for.
Yes?
It would like a loaded price.
Say again?
It would have a loaded price, like in technology, because this new stuff constantly.
Yes, but what happens is, say, after 34 months and you don't pay, then what happens is they take that item back. Say for argument's sake, you bought a TV and a DVD player set, the old set now, and you can't pay for the last few months. Then what they do is they take it back, then they auction it off. No? It gets sold to somebody, okay, at the cash price, whatever. Then what happens is that 2 months that you owe them, they take it from them, and whatever is balanced, you lose everything. You understand? Now, say for argument's sake, that amount doesn't cover what you owe them. Then you still owe them that. And you lose the item. That's why we say, start your own your micronation. Yes? Yes?
Oh, can't you ask for extra years, like more time?
Listen, if you're going to pay more over extra time, then your interest is going to be higher. Like with the housing now. So recently with this FICA Act, what they did was they changed the years to buy a house from 20 years to 25 and then 30 years. So you can pay the same amount, say the house costs R1 million. Over 20 years at 10% interest per month, per annum, per month, sorry. Your loan amount or your repayments on that R1 million is approximately 10,000, just under that. You pay approximately 10,000 rand a month if you buy R1 million house. Now, if you agree to pay that R1 million house over 25 years, then you're only paying 9,700 rand. So you're only paying 300 rand less a month, but you're paying how many years more? 5 years more. Yeah? Or if you take that same R1 million and you decide to pay it over a 30-year period, then you will still pay the bank back 9,000, maybe between 9,500 and 9,600-700 there. So you just paying less by a few hundred rands, but you're going to pay extra 10 years on your loan. Make sense? Why do people do that? Is the situation they find themselves in. Okay. Maybe that 300 rand to you would mean nothing, but to people who's in need, it means a lot. Okay, so the day you buy your own house, your first house, your first home, you come to me and I show you a way of saving money. No? When you buy your house, then what happens is, the amount that I save you, you give me a percentage of that. But the teacher must also become a rich man. He did not stay poor all his life. Yes?
Is it not rent to rent instead of
Rent. Now you see, after 20 years of renting the house, is still the landlords. But after 20 years of paying, your bond, the house could be yours. Okay. Right. Anything else, people? Okay, I'll give you more homework, since you asked so nicely. Right, homework is exercise 12.3. Okay, we'll sort out whatever you had problems with tomorrow, and we'll sort out from there.